Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening. Evening. A little late start today. I apologize for that. Been gone for a while. Like I said, some medical issues. They're still kind of dogging me, but we'll get through it. Hope y'all had a good week. Had a good weekend. It's been a busy weekend, and we're going to get into that here in a minute. But I hope you enjoyed it. Got to spend time with family and doing things you wanted to do, and not things that the company wants you to do. So I hope you enjoyed it. The weather wasn't bad. It was a little chilly at night, but it's been nice during the day. I had the windows open today. It was nice. And again, I'm sorry I forgot to do this. I am Seth Eisenberg, like it says right there. And this is the conservative corner. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time, I hope you enjoy it. Hope you have fun and hope you come back again. It's a good time. I promise you that it'll be worth your time. So what I usually do is I do the breaking news and then we get into the meat of this of the show. So we're going to do that because we got some guests I want to bring on here as soon as I can. So here we go. I don't know if you heard about this guy in Texas. He is, and I gotta be a little more calm than I am usually. So I'm gonna kind of temper what I say and how I say things today, just because. Let me fix that. There we go. So I don't know if you heard about this. This was in Austin. I think it was this weekend. Guy went into a bar and decided he was going to shoot people. Obviously, he is wearing a T-shirt or a sweatshirt that says "Property of Allah." He also had an Iranian T-shirt on under that sweatshirt. The FBI is investigating this as a potential terrorist act. I don't know what potential would mean. He's wearing a shirt that says Allah and wearing a T-shirt that had the old Iranian or the new Iranian flag prior to the Shah taking over. He left 2 dead, injured 14. The good news, if there could be good news in this whole situation, is that he died. Um, he is no longer addicted to oxygen. And I'm sure 2 people will miss him. His name, and I'm going to butcher it, and you know what? I don't care if I do because he's not a human being in my book. Uh, Nadega Diagania, some crap name like that. He is a excuse me. He is a immigrant, apparently legal from Senegal, if I'm reading this correctly. We also had a copy of the Quran in his vehicle. Went into a club and shot people early Sunday morning. So he was at a club. So yeah, they're saying the motive is still unclear. Then again, I'm not in the FBI, so I'm just going to take a guess here. I'm sure it has something to do with what's on his sweatshirt. I'm just going to guess. I'm not an FBI agent, not a detective, but I'm pretty sure that's a clue, like right here on his chest, as to why he did what he did. I could be wrong. Again, I am not in the FBI, and I am not a trained detective. So I'm going to go out on a limb with that and say that's a clue. They should be looking into that. We're going to get into what I'm going to talk about next more in the podcast here. The supreme leader is dead. There's not much more to say about that right now. We'll get into that later, but he is dead as a result of the Israeli and American strikes, missile strikes against his country. And contrary to popular belief, there are people who are happy about that. They're celebrating in the States and they're celebrating in Iran. They're celebrating all over the world. The man was evil. He was oppressive. They would kill women for not wearing hijabs. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but just in case you missed that, he is dead. He has kicked that nasty oxygen habit and is pushing up daisies. And I guess he's getting his 72 virgins or whatever it is they get when they die. I don't know, and I don't care. Just good riddance to bad rubbish. And for all the pain and hurt he's caused people in his reign, I hope the last few moments of his life are the most excruciating, painful things any human being could experience, and he still has hell to look forward to. So he is gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked witch, the witch is dead. And the hits keep on coming. And with that, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and bring in my guests that are going to be on the show this evening. So let me bring them on. There we go. So again,
Wow.
I told you all, I'm probably going to mess up the names. Above me, yellow tie is Frank,
Yep.
and the red tie is Angles.
Yep.
And we all know the hammer. That's the hammer. We all know him. Show us. There it is, the hammer of justice. So, Angles, take a couple seconds to tell everybody who you are so they know who you are.
Well, hello. My name is Angles Polanco. I'm a volunteer and an intern for the New Jersey Republican Party, and I guess now I'm a part-time news analyst for these podcasts that they keep bringing me on. So, thank you for having me.
Hey, anytime, man. And Frank?
Hi, my name's Frank Civitoni, and I was a volunteer for Jack Ciattarelli's campaign for governor, and I'm currently working on Justin Murphy's campaign for U.S. Senate.
And again, we all know the hammer. Tell everybody. I mean, real quick before we get into the podcast, tell everybody the good news.
Well, the good news is, looks like I've won the endorsement from all three counties to run for Congress and congressional District 1. And it looks like we're going to run unopposed. There were a few people that were going to throw their hat in the ring, decided not to because it looked like I was going to get the nod. And I did. So I locked up all three counties today. So exciting. And at the same time, I'm like, now I made it here. Now what? Now it's going to be a rough road.
Now the fun starts.
Yeah, it's going to start.
And of course, everybody, I'm Seth. Everybody knows me. Not important. So what we're going to do with my guests here, Frank, Angles, and Damon, we're going to talk about Iran. We're not going to talk about anything else. We're going to get into Iran, the starting, what's going on now, and how it's happening around the world. Got some videos, and mostly it's going to be us talking. So let's start off with this, everybody. And I have the timeline, so let me go over the timeline. Let me find it. Here we go. That's not it. I have so many notes, it's ridiculous. Okay, here we go. 1:15 a.m. Tehran time. The U.S. Navy decided to say hello, along with the Israeli Defense Force. They decided to send some care packages to Iran. One of those care packages, as I kind of alluded to earlier, got delivered directly to the Supreme Leader with a big, I can't say what I want to say, a big, wet, sloppy kiss from the rest of the world to him. Then shortly before 10 a.m., that's when the major assault, that's when they started just continuously raining down love and hugs on the Iranian government and their military. At 9:27, explosions were reported all over Tehran. It was like the 4th of July, except it wasn't cool fireworks. It was big missiles doing massive damage to a country that deserves it. So let's start with this. Were you surprised, Angles, at any of this? Did this oh my gosh, I didn't know this was coming?
Well, frankly, I think that it was a long time coming for the Iranians. They have been very clear that their nuclear program has not been. While we destroyed their nuclear program with Operation Midnight Hammer, they have made efforts to rebuild it. So, with that out of the way, it's obvious that the Trump administration had to, attack Iran, given the implications. But there was also a lot of pressure, of course, from the Israelis, pressuring the U.S. government to intervene in Iran because they are a very large geopolitical threat to the governments of Israel and the United States. So while it was shocking that it happened in the morning, I thought that it would happen, very early in the morning, probably at night in Iran. But it actually happened while people were just about waking up and having breakfast, if I recall. So that was very surprising. But the actual attack, it was a long time coming. So.
And I'm thanks for bringing up this. This has been called Operation Epic Fury, is what the military has named it. Epic Fury. Excuse me, man, I am choking up. Frank, what do you think?
I think the Ayatollah had it coming for him. He's been persecuting his people. He's been threatening our friends in Israel, and he's been threatening U.S. national security. I believe he had it coming for him, and I think he deserved it all well. He deserved everything that happened to him and all the Iranian officials who were killed during the attack.
All right, Damon, here's a question for you, different from the two gentlemen. And I'm going to play devil's advocate with you.
Okay.
When we did this before, when we bombed them, and we said emphatically, we have dismantled their nuclear capability. It's not a threat anymore. Now they're out saying they have nuclear capability. It's a threat. We need to take care of it. Why do you think they were misled the first time go around, and now they're realizing, hey, we didn't do as much as we thought we did, or were they just guessing?
What, you talking about the United States being?
Yeah, when we first bombed them, we're like, oh, we got it. They're dismantled. We're not worried about it anymore.
I don't think they were misled. I think I truly believe the United States knew what they were doing the first time. They knew with those bunker busters and taking the nuclear program out, and they had to gather more information because I know Israel had a lot of people on the ground there and collecting a lot of intelligence. They have their spies there recording everything, and when they figured out that, I'm sure the United States does as well, and when they found out that they were still trying to rebuild this nuclear program, and they gave them chance after chance after chance, and they did not do anything about it. They didn't come to the table. They tried to string along the United States over and over and over again, and then that's they got what they deserved. I mean, and the thing is, they definitely deserved it. I mean, look at all the, what they killed, 40,000 people, protesters in the street.
30.
30,000. Well, one half and 160, whatever, doesn't matter. 30,000.
One person killed in the protest is one too many.
Yeah. So I think they were just mowing people down, and that is ungodly. And again, do I think the United States should get involved in foreign wars? Do I want a war or anything like that? No, we shouldn't. But when it's a country that calls for death to America, and they're actively trying to build weapons to attack our allies or us, you have to.
Now, I should have said this before we started talking. I usually do. Whatever I say is not a reflection of my guests. Frank, Angles, and Damon may not agree with what I say. They may think, oh, Seth's insane. The guy needs mental help, whatever. So please don't put my words into their mouths and go, well, if Frank's on there with Seth, he must 100% agree with him or he wouldn't be there. That is not true. We all have our own opinions. We may agree, we may disagree. Same thing with Damon. Don't assume because he's with me on this show that he agrees with everything I say. Please don't put my words into their mouth. I just want to say that because it wouldn't be fair. Because I will say some outlandish crap guaranteed before this is over.
We're going to have to put a disclaimer on the bottom so you don't have to say it anymore. Like it run across the bottom like a disclaimer. And by the way, I wanted to let the listeners know that these two young guys here are, not to embarrass you, they're 15 years old. But wait to hear them talk. I mean, they're 15 years old and they're involved and they impressed the heck out of me when they were on my podcast.
And that's why I said earlier, I got to watch what I say because trust me, I was in the Navy, so I have a Navy mouth. And I want to say some Navy things, but I can't because I don't want to put myself in a position where people are like, oh my God, Seth's just a crazy bastard. Okay, so here's some of the scenes from, I guess, the initial wave. There we go. That is the palace where the Supreme Leader used to live. I'm not sure in what order it was struck, but obviously it was hit. For the first, I guess, few hours, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, Iran was saying that the Supreme Leader's fine. He's in an undisclosed place. Israel and America saying, no, he's dead. We just can't substantiate that yet. And as we all know, it came out, they found his body in the rubble, and he is dead. Do you think that, and we'll start with Frank this time, do you think the Supreme Leader in Iran was the military mind, like he would help design tactics and tell guys where to go? Do you think he was more of the religious head of the country? Do you think him dying has any effect on the military?
Well, I think it did because the Iranian Supreme Leader was in charge of the military, the courts, and the media. So I believe he had some influence over it, including the nuclear weapon programs. but I don't think he was in charge of everything with the military. I believe he had other buddies he had that were helping him, and I believe I heard in the attack that 40 Iranian leaders were killed during this, so he definitely had buddies advising him.
What do you think, Engels?
Well, I think that what happened with the death of the Ayatollah, it's going to affect the performance of the Iranian military. Of course, the Iranian military is by no means destroyed. It's still a fighting force. But if before this, the Iranian military was nowhere near being able to attack, and fight the American military, just based on technology and their strength and their capacity to fight, I think that now with the death of their leader, it's really going to hurt the propaganda, and it's just really going to hurt the fighting capability of the Iranian army. I heard that all the television screens in Iran, they were cut off and hacked, and they had footage of President Trump giving his address to the Iranian people and encouraging them to revolt against the government. That is going to play a part. That is going to demoralize the Iranian people. So I think that what the United States is doing is militarily a very smart tactic, going after the leadership, going after the media, getting the people on their side, and that's going to determine the situation in Iran.
Well,
I agree.
The Iranian military isn't nothing to be impressed about. They have Cold War era weapons, so I wouldn't be too afraid of them. And a lot of stuff I'm sure they talk about is on paper.
Oh yeah. What about you, Damon? What do you think?
Well, I'm just trying to think about it, how taking out their leader and how the military. See, I don't have knowledge of what their military is about. Maybe half of them are forced to do the things they do, and the other half don't want any part of it. So that's the thing. I don't have that knowledge, but I think it's going to definitely slow them down. They lost their leadership. They're going to think twice about anything. So even the ones that wanted to do with their and carry out those orders, I think we're going to think twice. And the other half, I'm just guessing, half, then they're relieved that they're gone. So I'm hoping that Iran becomes, a great place and not under dictatorship. And with this guy gone, we all know he was a bad guy, so he needed to go. And anyone that threatens the United States, you're done. I would say, nope, you're done. So glad he's gone. Glad he's not hurting people over in Iran, his own people, because I'm on the side of life across the board. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. I mean, you're never going to know until who's going to pop up in leadership in front of him. So we'll see what happens.
I think you said it before, Damon, about America getting involved in other nations' issues and fighting wars for other countries. I was in the Navy. My daughter was in the Navy. My brother was Air Force. My other brother was an officer in the Air Force, and my stepbrother was in the Marines. So we're all about kicking ass and taking names. But I agree. I have never been one for being the world's police. I don't think that should be our job. We have enough problems organically that we need to take care of. We don't need to invite other countries' issues onto us. But that being said, Iran has been giving us the finger for 50 years. They pay terrorists to attack us and attack other countries. They are constantly a thorn in the side of any law-abiding society in the Middle East. They have done what they wanted to do with impunity. Obama has paid them pallets of cash and to quiet them down. And I think it was Engels that said this. Maybe it was Frank. This is a long time coming. I think we waited too long. If we had nipped this in the bud back in the day, it wouldn't have been such a big fiasco. But we've allowed this to grow. And I blame Carter, number one, for all this. He is the orchestrator of the crap that we're dealing with now. I think that's why we have the rule that we don't negotiate with terrorists anymore, because he was trying to pay them. He was trying to get when they took the American embassy workers hostage, he was trying to pay to get our people back. And at that point, we're like, no, this can't happen anymore. So now we have the law I'm aging myself then. I wasn't really that young when that happened. I can still remember that. But yeah, this was a long time coming. This was an ass kicking that was being begged for decades, and I'm glad it happened. And on the same note, I want to everybody out there, and again, this may upset some people, and you know what? That's Tuesday for me. We are not Israel's bitch. We are not a puppet of Israel. We are not the bodyguard for the Zionists. And I'm so sick of hearing keyboard warriors spew that out every day. Israel is an ally. They are the only ally we have in the Middle East. If it weren't for them, that whole region would be on fire every day. There would be tribes fighting. There would be spilling out into the rest of the world. They help us keep that place in check. And if you don't understand that, get off the goddamn keyboard, read a book, or better yet, travel. Go over to the Middle East, go to Israel for a week, and then go to Saudi Arabia, then go to Dubai, then go to Afghanistan, and see where you're treated better at. See where you're made to feel welcome. I can guarantee you it'll be only one country. One country will make you feel welcome. If you're gay, go to the Middle East. Hang out in Israel for a week and be openly gay. Then go to Saudi Arabia and hang out and be openly gay. You won't be able to travel beyond Saudi Arabia because they'll execute you. So you'll never get to see the rest of the Middle East. So I just wanted to get that out. I'm tired of hearing about how we're Zionist puppets and whatever.
I want to say something about that because I hear it a lot from people that I work with and everything else, and they talk about how it's Israel controls the United States and all that. They say it all the time. The way I see it, yeah. Everyone has Israel done some bad things in the past? Probably. Have we done some bad things in the past? Probably. But it's not just it's like the flavor of the month, I would say, and that's what it is. And it's the propaganda now. And Hamas actually won that propaganda war, I believe, because they got ahead of it and they did it. That's why they built their all their bases underneath hospitals and schools and all that, so they can put it out there. It's happening. So I'm just tired of hearing it because it can't be just one person. Israel does not control the world, and that's what people believe, that Israel's behind everything. Israel is the size of the state of New Jersey. I mean, it literally is. So they control what? No, listen. Are they smart? Do they get ahead of things? And they have the Mossad is very smart. They have spies everywhere. Sure. So do we. So does every other country. But they just became the flavor of the month. And I'm not saying that they're innocent in everything. And we're innocent in everything. It's the way the world works. They're not the mastermind with like twisting their beard. They're our allies.
Yeah.
I mean, they are our allies. And I'm getting tired of hearing it. And everyone believes it. I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people believe it. And
What do you think, Angles?
Well, I think that concerning Israel, I will agree that Israel is not controlling everything. For example, the United States of America but Israeli interests do hold some sway in American government. AIPAC funds a lot of elections. They fund a lot of candidates in our country. They help elect a lot of people to Congress and to governorships. So that is unacceptable, and we should not be accepting Israeli money for campaigns. Furthermore, I think that the Israelis actually did have a large, issue with Iran, and that they did encourage the United States to go to war with Iran. Now, whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll leave it up to you. But you can't deny that Israel does have a little bit of sway when it comes to that. So I think that while Israel is not controlling everything, there is an active Zionist influence in the American government, and it is working to sway things, maybe not directly, but behind the scenes.
Well, no doubt about that. It's like having a business partner. That's why I see it. So, God, Seth, I just wanted to. There's no doubt about that. They sway things. They definitely do because they're involved. And the AIPAC is the big thing. They're not giving me money, by the way. But nobody's giving me money. But anyway.
What do you think, Frank?
Well, I do think the Israeli government does have a little bit of influence on our own government, but every country has influence on our own government, worldwide decisions. But I will say Israel has an incredible military for their size. This being the size of the state of New Jersey, they have a pretty insane military. So I think it is important that we support Israel in their fight against the Middle East. But I don't want to get involved in war. I have no interest in foreign wars. But I believe it's important that we help our allies in the Middle East. Like you said, they're our only allies. So we should definitely support them. But I do not think they're controlling the world. And it would be pretty obvious if they were. We would be seeing a lot of stuff, and politicians would be saying a lot of stuff about how Israel would be controlling the world. So I do not think they are.
But to just comment on that, Israel has such a strong military because we are in part funding that military.
Yeah.
We also fund their large universal health care program. A lot of our money goes towards propping up the state of Israel. So it's kind of like, it's hard to call it a worthwhile investment if we're funding most of that investment, Like if Israel was by itself able to fund such a large military, nuclear, health, economic program, that would be excellent. But they're not. They're using the American taxpayer in most of these circumstances to fund these programs, social programs, their economic programs, their military programs. The Iron Dome is mainly funded by the American taxpayer. So I understand that Israel is not controlling everything that goes around the world, but it's definitely something that we have to keep an eye on, and we can't be blindly following the whims of Israel.
Seth, do you mind if I respond to this one?
Go ahead.
Yes. The thing is, the reason why I know a lot of people say we have problems here. We do. And we definitely do. We're $37 trillion in debt plus. I would say the reason why we fund Israel, the Iron Dome, they are our only ally in the Middle East. And every other country surrounding them wants to they hate the West. They want to kill the West, and they want to annihilate Israel. So I would see why we spend the extra money there. Now, should we is up, it's kind of up in the air. Now, yeah, do they need to provide their own? Yes, they do. They need to do better in that. But it's just when we have an ally in that area, one single ally that we have of the rest of that area wants to annihilate the West, I would take an investment in that and use that. I will give them the Iron Dome to protect themselves. And I know it costs a lot, but I mean, it's kind of up in the air, like how much we should, but I don't want to see them get wiped off the map. And if we don't protect them, then they're not going to help protect us. Do they sway decisions? Yes, sure they do. It's just like Frank said, that every country sways decisions here and there. It depends who you're going to partner up with. So if it could be tomorrow. Look at Qatar. I'd never thought Qatar. And Seth, I don't know if you can verify this. Wasn't Qatar shooting down missiles for going to Israel?
I think I
Yeah,
think I read something.
I believe they were. I never thought Qatar. I mean, really? And that's because Trump went over there and started making some deals with them. So it's whoever is the next deal that you make with a different country. It's going to flip back and forth with different countries here, there. It depends. But shit, we went to World War II. Look at it. All those countries we were at war with, now we're friendly with. So it's always going to go back and forth. It's just now we have social media. Now we have everyone's opinion out there, and you have a lot of people looking at it. And listen, I'm not 100% on board with everything that we do for Israel. But I'm not 100% on board for everything with anybody else. I think it's America first, but I would say, yeah, protect our single ally that's over in the land that hates the West. So
Yeah, no, I'd like to say that when we support Israel, we should be supporting them militarily. I'm not saying we should be paying for their health care or building
that
their
no, I don't know what that's about. I got to look into that, but yeah, I heard that too. No,
it's important we are allies with them. As I don't know if they're members of NATO. If anybody knows that they are, I don't think they are. So I think that's a reason we definitely need to help them and help protect them and share information with them about terror groups that want to destroy the West.
But I think that the issue is that, there have been multiple times where Israel has used military intelligence to go against the United States. I believe it was in 1973 that an Israeli ship accidentally, I'm not sure if it was completely an accident, but the main story is that they accidentally shot down an American ship, which was attempting to help them during their war against, I believe it was Egypt in 1973. So, of course, we should be supporting Israel when it comes to, matters of national security, but when most of the times that we are sharing information with them, it seems like they're trying to use it against us. And I think that if a foreign government is trying to influence our elections, they may not be the best ally for the United States. You haven't seen the British lobby trying to influence election. You haven't seen the French lobby trying to influence elections. So I think that has to be put into consideration.
How do we know?
Because you don't see millions of dollars being given by the French government to politicians.
Well, I'd like to say
How do
here.
we know?
I'd like to say that
Because they have to publicly, disclose all their financial dealings.
If they do financially, yeah, but if they're trying to influence, that doesn't necessarily mean monetarily.
When has a political candidate been given money by a country like France or the United Kingdom in exchange for policy that would be favorable to that nation?
I'm not saying monetarily, but peddling influence doesn't necessarily mean just monetarily.
Uh-huh.
There could be promises made, or hey, you do this for me, we're gonna, like the hot mic with Obama when he was talking to, was it Putin or whoever he was talking to? He said, "When I get reelected, I can help you more."
Yes,
There was no
that was
money
with
there, but that's
that was with the
influence.
foreign minister of
Yes.
Russia.
Yes. So how do we know things like that aren't happening with Britain and France and Germany and Austria?
Well, that goes into the issue of speculation, because we don't have any evidence for that, but we do have evidence concerning AIPAC and organizations such as that. So,
But it could also be said that we have that out in the open because there are people who are anti-Israel, and they want to make sure that's in the forefront. Like, hey, look at what they're doing. Don't look
Yes,
over
but
here.
I'm
Look over
sure.
here.
Yeah, but I'm sure that any foreign government funding elections to influence the foreign policy of the United States, that should be completely illegal.
Oh no, I agree with that.
So
No, I agree with you there too. I'm glad you
Yeah.
broke it up with APAC, because yes, they should not be. And APAC does give them like 97%.
So I'm not trying to say that Israel is evil, or that we need to let Israel fall apart completely, cut off all military, foreign, financial aid to Israel. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that we have to be more careful, and we need to reevaluate our relationship with Israel, because it is costing, a lot, both intelligence-wise, military-wise, economically. It is costing a lot for a relationship with Israel. And I would also like to mention that it seems that most of the reason that these nations are against the United States is because we are so close with Israel. We are actually getting a better relationship with countries like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar, like Egypt, like Turkey, because we are, going to them, and we're pressuring Israel to stop attacking them and to stop, being antagonistic towards them. So we're actually seeing diplomatic progress with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, those nations. But it seems to me like, Israel helps speed up the issue when it comes to nations that are antagonistic against the United States.
Well, what I want to say is that Israel is, when you said that France and Britain are not influencing our elections, I believe that's because they are part of NATO and they have security because they are allies with everybody around them. And the only threat really to them is Russia, but everybody around France and England are allies. But when you look down at Israel, they are surrounded by enemies who want to kill them. And you don't hear it on the news every day, but they have missiles flying over their border every day. And I think Israel influences our elections, or tries to, because they're worried about their national security. So they want to make sure people that the American government will provide security to them while sharing information with us about our enemies in the Middle East.
Well, I would like to mention that, countries like China, Russia, Iran, they also influence American elections, and they work by sending money. I believe Mikey Sherrill was actually given several $1,000s by the Chinese Communist Party during the election season, and that was reported on. So the difference is Russia, China, and Iran. Those are three countries who are trying to send money to politicians to influence them into having a favorable foreign policy with the United States and their respective countries. But there's one more country that also does that, but they're not in the same category as China, Russia, or Iran. It's Israel, and they're also funding elections, funding politicians, and trying to get their foreign policy message out there. So if it really is that innocent that Israel is just trying to look out for its national security, we could say the same thing about Iran. We could say the same thing about China. We could say the same thing about Russia. Why is Israel in a different category to those countries?
Because they don't kill their own people wholesale.
Yeah,
Okay, well, fair enough. But they're still.
Seth, I just want to say this because I go back to you because it's your show. So, but
wait, hold that thought. We got to do a hard break, and then,
all right.
Then we'll be back and we'll carry this discussion on and cover some other things.
All right.
So we'll be right back.
All right. Thank you.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up. Because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. But America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. The New Jersey State House Watch, hosted by Jack Brangan and Constance Detzel. APN's The Pulse is moderated by either Alexandra, Damon, Elena, or Seth. Also tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X, Rumble, Truth Social, Parler, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Join the revolution because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Good morning. Hello. Not good morning.
Can't hear you.
Hello?
I can't hear Seth.
Yeah, I hit my button. So everybody, welcome back. This is a Conservative Corner. I'm Seth. Yellow tie is Frank. Red tie is Angles. And of course, the hammer. Oh, yeah, I'm pointing the wrong way. And then, of course, in the corner, we have the hammer, the Jersey Hammer. Damon Galdo, my best friend, who puts up with me. So when we left off, we were talking about Israel influence and things like that. Before we get back into that, I want to kind of segue into our second segment here. I just want to start off by saying I'm so glad that we have angry white rich women in this country who can tell the Iranian women that they're wrong and that they're not oppressed and that they need to be upset that the Ayatollah was killed. I'm thankful for them. I'm glad they're here because if it weren't for them, where would we be? They know everything. I'm not sure if you've all seen instantly, like I would say within a couple hours, there were protests. Professional signs and crowds everywhere, like they knew it was coming. I don't get, and maybe one of you guys can help me understand this, how a rich suburban white woman can tell a woman who's been living in a theocracy that has been oppressed for years that she is wrong to be happy that her country is being attacked, that she should be upset that we're there, and she should love living in oppression. We'll start with you, Dave.
You lost your sound again, Seth. So you were kind of breaking up a little bit. I got most of that, but lost your sound. You said start with me. So are you
Good.
here?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, technical difficulties. But no, they shouldn't say anything about it. I'm tired of rich suburban white women telling the rest of the world how they're supposed to be. It really bothers me a lot. And I'm telling you, it shouldn't, but it does. That go over there for a little while. Go live their life. I mean, we are the greatest nation ever made. I mean, women can vote over here. Women can drive. Women can go to school. The only thing that we have in this country is they try to allow men to play in women's sports. It's like it's a big deal, but it's nothing like they have over there. So it's just like the gays for Palestine. It's like okay, yeah, go over there and see what happens to you.
Chicken for KFC.
Yeah, chickens for KFC. Yeah, I don't understand. It's good that they live in a bubble. It's just they never faced any true adversity, and they just come home, they're comfortable, put their pajamas on, watch the news, they're all taken care of, and looking like, oh, I feel so. No, just spend. I think no. So we're speaking of Israel before. Israel that makes everyone has to go in the army for 2 years. I think any American that complains about what happens over in other countries, then you have to go live there for a month. How about that? And I think it would all go away.
I don't want to do that.
if they say they stand up for it, I think it should be a program. We should fund it. We'll fund your flight and your housing over there. We're going to put you right in the middle of it. If you want to complain about all that, we'll take care. I would personally be okay with that coming out of my taxpayer dollars, just to send anyone that complains about this country and wants and save another country and say it's wrong with. Okay, all right, listen, go over there for a month.
What do you think, Angles?
I agree. I think that, there is an issue with very coddled white women in this country who are, very sensitive, and they think, oh my goodness, those poor people over there. Look at me, I'm so oppressed. You don't know how bad it is for me. And it really is ridiculous. These people, they're saying, oh, free Iran. Free Iran from what? We're the ones freeing Iran. So I don't think we have to free Iran. We're already freeing Iran. I don't know what you're talking about there. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. I think Damon covered most of it. But yeah, they really need to, get their skin out there and see what's going on, because they really don't understand anything.
Frank, I'm sure you saw some of the posts or pictures of the protests that were going on.
Yes.
Multiple pictures. Did you notice there wasn't one Iranian at any of these pro-Iranian protests? It was all college and white women.
Well, I just want to say the rich suburban white women have Trump derangement syndrome. If they hear Trump did it, they're going to say it's bad. Like when we took out Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela, the same day they're having free Venezuela, free Maduro protests just because President Trump did it. And I think that's a joke. They have Trump derangement syndrome. They listen to everything the TikTok tells them. And I just think they're stupid. I think my dog is smarter than liberal white women.
Well, that's why I'm glad. The only reason I'm glad, there's only one reason I'm glad I'm not rich, because my wife's not rich. That's the only reason. Other than that, I would like to be rich.
And I will add, by the way, that the operation in Venezuela went much better, and I actually support the operation in Venezuela much more than what happened in Iran, because what happened in Venezuela, it was very quick. It was very reminiscent of what happened with George H.W. Bush and Desert Storm. We went in, we got Maduro, we left. We weren't trying to nation build like what George W. Bush did in Iraq or Afghanistan. We were just going in, got the target, left. And I think that's what we should do in Iran. After this, we should leave Iran to do whatever the people want to do. If they want to go back to a monarchy, they can go to a monarchy. If they want to go to a democracy, let them go to a democracy. But I think that we have to get out of Iran as soon as possible, because now the Ayatollah is dead. I don't think that I don't think that the current regime in Iran is going to last any longer. We don't need to have boots on the ground. Let's get out of there while we can.
I think why Venezuela, and I agree with you, Venezuela was like the definition of precise, direct action and out. And I think the reason why that worked so well is because that was spec ops. I think it was Delta that did that. I think maybe MARSOC and the SEALs might have been involved, but I think a majority of that was Army Delta. And that's their job. In, out, be gone before you know what happened. And I agree. I think with what's going on in Iran, while I agree with it, why they need their ass kicked, I'm not saying they don't. I think it should have been maybe planned out a little bit better, maybe a little bit more thought put into this, because let's be honest, if working with Israel against Iran, if we really wanted to do this, this would have been over in like 8 hours. We would have destroyed and decimated that country in 8 hours. But there's no need for it to drag on. And that's just my opinion. And I was in the Navy. I've seen the ships we have, and I don't have the words to describe the power and the violence those ships can inflict. One ship, it's the word awesome doesn't begin to describe how dangerous those ships we have are. It doesn't begin to describe it. And like I said, if we wanted to, this would have been over in 5 or 6 hours with a complete and utter destruction. And I'm not even talking nuclear. I'm talking conventional. It would have been done in 5. They'd have been begging in 5 hours had we really, really put our minds to this. Let me show the next video. Find it where we're at. Here we go. This is people upset about what happened in Iran. And I say that because they're not upset, they're partying. Oh, no, this is the upset one. I'm sure the party. These are people protesting in the street. They're upset that the Americans were there. And if you watch the news, this is all you're seeing are the people who are upset. You would think that the entire country of Iran is upset that the dictator has been taken out. And this just goes on with more rock throwing and shooting. So we'll start with Frank.
Well, what I see is armed militants in the street with, you saw them with AKs. And I believe there's people who are, what's happening, I like going back to the liberal white women, all right? They are, when they protest, they're beating up the cops. They are harming police officers. Over there, they have guns and they're attacking the protesters. So I believe that what's happening is the people of Iran should be free. That's all I'm going to say. Everybody deserves freedom.
Angles? I got it right.
Yeah, I think that what we saw there, that's not real genuine anger from the people of Iran, because what I've seen is the people of Iran, they're crying of tears of joy because, you know, the terrorist regime that has ruled over them illegitimately and illegally since 1979 is finally crushed. So I think, I'm not sure what exactly that was. I haven't heard any reports concerning that, so I can't tell you whether that was like a militant group that was trying to sow chaos.
Well, the news is saying that was organic. Those are citizens rising up against us.
I've seen many reports of citizens crying tears of joy, cheering on the American soldiers, saying, "President Trump, thank you very much for going in there and killing the Ayatollah," because, you know, this has been a long time coming. I'm going to say it again. It has been a long time coming. I think that the government of Iran really put this on themselves, and their reign of terror is really over. So people are happy about it. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but I'm going to tell you straightforward. The mainstream media, they must be pulling some sort of, you know, some sort of a lie about this, because what I'm seeing is the people are very grateful and happy.
Oh, no. I mean, they've showed videos of people, Iranians in this country, who are out in the streets dancing and saying, you know, thank Trump, thank everybody. We've been wanting this for years. The mainstream media's job is to dismantle this country. So what they do is they don't show that. They show the people who are upset.
And
Seth,
I'd like to include that these aren't the first round of protests, the major protests that have happened. There were major protests in 2009, 2017, 2019, and 2022. All of these protests were suppressed by the Ayatollah. The protesters were beaten, tortured, killed. And taking out the Ayatollah has made so many people around the world celebrate. We've seen it in Los Angeles. They were in LA, one of the most bluest cities in the whole country. They're out there celebrating. They have signs. They're thanking President Trump and the U.S. military for conducting this strike. So I wouldn't believe any of the lies that the mainstream media is telling us. And everyone should do their own research to see what is really happening.
And before I go to Damon, I just want to say that, we're talking about a country that would at the very least, beat women for not covering their hair. And that just wasn't today. That's time immemorial. They've been doing that. Executing people for speaking out against Islam or speaking out against the leader. This is not a good country. This is not made up. We're not just throwing things out there. These are facts. You have people who have been to Iran who left that country, and our country will tell you the same thing. People have been executed for stuff that we wouldn't even bat an eye at here. So it's not like we've taken out they weren't that bad group of people in a country. They were bad people. They were evil people. They got what they deserved. And there's someone in the chat that said we're doing it because of the Epstein files, or, to be honest, I don't care why we're doing it. It had to be done. This man had to be removed. That country had to learn, or not to learn, the country had to know, hey, you're not alone. We see what's going on there. Sorry it took us so long to help you, but we're here now. And we're going to try to protect you as best we can and get these people out so you can, like Engel was saying, we're going to remove them so you can do what you want to do. You have a choice now. You can become a monarchy. You can become a democracy. You can do whatever you want to do now because no one's going to kill you for not going along with groupthink.
Yes, and the Ayatollah, he didn't just harm his own citizens. He was harming U.S. soldiers. He was supplying terrorist groups such as Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis with AKs, vehicles, rockets, you name it, ammo. He was giving it to them. So he wasn't just cheering on terror groups who are a threat to us in Israel. He was arming them to harm us.
Yes.
Our allies.
That's not recent. That's been forever. They've been doing it. This is not new. This is not like, they just started doing this. I mean, Beirut, when they bombed the Marine barracks, they were involved in that. The embassy, they were involved. They did that. These are not new developments that we're just learning about. We've known about this country for decades.
And that's what I like about President Trump is he's not afraid to step up to these people and show them who's boss here. Because the Ayatollah, he kept shouting, death to America, the Iranian military, death to America, repeated threats. And they had it coming. You threaten America, we will come and strike you.
You're right about that. Listen, I'll tell you one thing. Someone stands in front of my house and says, death to Galdo. And what do you think I'm going to do? Seriously, it's that simple, and it's a lot of it's peace through strength. Ronald Reagan. I have his speech right here on my wall next to me, and that's what it is. And Seth, I want to tell you, I told you they were going to do their homework. You see, they had their homework all written down. These kids are good, but but I want to say I have a guy that I work with, and he is Iranian. He came over a few years ago. His sister's still there. And he's not a fan of Trump whatsoever. But what's going on right now, I was talking today, he gave me a call and shot me a bunch of texts. He is happy. Of course he's scared for his sister, but she's safe. But he is happy that they're getting rid of the Ayatollah. He said that's why he left. The sister didn't want to leave because she was married over there and her husband didn't want to go. But, I mean, and I'll be honest with you, it's the only Iranian that I know personally. So, but no, he's not a fan of Trump, but he's happy with what's going on right now. He's afraid of the loss of life of civilians and what's going to happen because of all this. I'm sure there's going to be civilian loss, whether it's from us or any attacks they get, or just internally. So.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to touch on it earlier, but I forgot. Nobody wants war. War is not a romantic thing. It's not a glamorous thing. It's not, cool. People will die. Innocent people are going to die. no matter how much precaution you take or what you try to do to thwart that, it's going to happen. And it's horrible. I don't celebrate when, civilians are killed. I don't think it's great that it happens, but it happens. And I wish it didn't. But going back to what everyone's kind of been saying here is we didn't choose this course. We are reacting to somebody else's decision. This is what they pushed everybody into. When you, like Damon said, if you go to somebody's house and scream, kill Galdo, death to the U.S., death, how long do you think a country is going to stand back and allow you to do that when they know that you fund terrorism, that you've done terrorist acts, that you've killed your own civilians, that you've killed people in other countries? How long do you think that country will sit back and go, it's okay, they're just talking? You can't assume a country that does that is just talking. They've shown you that they will do more than talk. They will kill people, kill their own people. So this is not something that the U.S. chose to do. We had no choice. We are following a path that was laid out before us by the Iranian leadership. They want to push us. We've let them push us. Now we're pushing back. And it just so happens that pushing back against this country will make the world a better place. Maybe not forever, but temporarily it will clean up some crap in the world by eliminating them.
Seth, somebody keeps posting in the chat. Other people are. What do you guys think of Richard Nixon? So I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Now,
Hold on. Here we go.
Richard Nixon.
I don't know where
have historically supported the Shah in Iran, especially the great Richard M. Nixon. Not sure if Trump would take the same attitude towards Pahlavi.
Oh yeah, Pahlavi. Okay.
And then he asked, what are the speaker's thoughts on Richard Nixon? I guess a little before your time, guys. I get it. But
well, I'm actually going to take a very controversial opinion on Richard Nixon. I want to say this. I think Watergate was actually a setup. I don't think that Richard Nixon I don't think he was guilty on Watergate. I think that was the plumbers. That was the Cubans. I don't think that was Nixon.
I agree.
I think that Nixon got set up. I think if you listen to the recordings between him, Kissinger, and all the people involved, it's very clear that Nixon did not orchestrate the Watergate break-in. Nixon was innocent.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I don't know too much about Richard Nixon. All I know was Watergate, and he was a U.S. president.
Sure,
so
he did.
I don't. I can come back to the show another day, and I can answer that.
You need to do your homework on that one.
Yeah, and then I can answer that question.
Oh, what do you think about Abraham Lincoln? I mean,
Abraham Lincoln, great president.
But in my opinion, I like Nixon because as he said he'd get us out of Vietnam, and he got us out of Vietnam. That's simple.
That's true. Yeah.
You got to respect that. Most politicians lie. I'm not saying Nixon didn't lie. I'm sure he lied, but when he said that, he did that, and I respect that. That was definitely a place we didn't belong into, and too many American servicemen lost their lives, and we didn't need to be there. That's my opinion. I'm not trying to start an argument. That's just how I feel.
I agree with you there. We should have had no involvement in Vietnam.
So let me show this next video.
Vietnam out to the end.
I call this next video the recipient of the Darwin Award. Now, I'm sure everybody on the panel here, everybody who's listening now and later understands that an embassy, regardless of the country, and no matter where it is that country's property. That's their land. U.S. Embassy in England is U.S. soil. And you don't try to attack an embassy, because if you are, you're attacking the country. And that's in layman's terms. So what we have here, I can't remember what this was. That was today. They were attacking the U.S. Embassy. They got past the gates, did some destruction, and got further into the compound. And then Uncle Sam's misguided children said, no, we're done, and started shooting, which they're supposed to do. That's their job. And of course, now we're the bad guys. We shouldn't have done that. We should have let this mob and start killing American citizens because they're upset. We're supposed to understand that. And of course, the bored white women in America are on board with this mob trying to take over an embassy. I don't feel sorry for anybody who got shot. You shouldn't have been there. You had no business there. And when you mess with U.S. Marines, what do you expect to have happen? They're not there to hand out candy and chocolate bars. They are the U.S. Marine Corps. They are the deadliest fighting force on the planet. And you got what you deserved.
Yeah, well, in the clip, I think I saw it looked like an armor plate carrier was worn by one of the militants that stormed through there. They had violent intentions, and I'm sure we all remember Biden's poorly coordinated evacuation from Afghanistan. I wonder where they got that plate carrier from.
Oh, they made it at home. If you ask Karen, she'll tell you they made it in their basement with their kids after they got done coloring.
It wasn't the $80 billion worth of equipment we left over there.
There you go. That's where it is.
I'm not sure if it was embassy workers or if it was Marines, but whoever it was there, they did the right thing because they fired on the attacking Iranians. They did what they didn't do in 1978 or 1979, and because they didn't do that in 1979, they got kidnapped and held hostage for 400 days. So they did the right thing. They killed the enemy because they were the enemy. They were attacking and they were trying to take over the embassy. I don't know what they were trying to do. Maybe they were trying to use it as leverage. Maybe they were trying to do another Iran hostage crisis. I don't know what their intentions were, but they obviously weren't good intentions. So I think they did the right thing. They shot against the incoming terrorists, and they protected the embassy. So I think they did the right thing.
And I agree. I agree with that. And I want to say I remember that because I'm older than you. But are you on ChatGPT as we're talking? Because how are you just pulling all this stuff up? You guys still impress me. I'll tell you. You're probably on ChatGPT finding shit out. I'm just saying because I remember that. I was gonna mention it, and then he just jumps in and says it. I'm like, man, he's on Chat. He must be, but I know he's not. So.
I'm just over here drooling. I don't know. I want to piggyback on Angles, Frank, and everybody said. Marines are Marine. I was on an LPH in the Navy, which means we were an amphibious assault craft. We carried Marines. Without Marines, we only had like 600 sailors on board. When we picked up Marines in Morehead City, we had like 3,000 or 4,000 total crew. We were there for we were Uber before Uber was cool. I've talked to Marines. I worked with them. I hung out with them. And I'm talking infantry Marines, not air wing infantry, grunts. On my best day, I wouldn't mess with a Marine at a guard post. I wouldn't. I wouldn't challenge a Marine standing watch. I wouldn't challenge a Marine in an embassy. To think that they would react any different way than they did today by putting lead down range and putting people down is ridiculous. That is their job. They live for that. That is what they dream about at night. When they're eating breakfast and they look like they're staring off into space, they're thinking about shooting people. They are devil dogs, and they're called that for a reason. And as I said before, there is no finer fighting force on the planet than a U.S. Marine and his weapon. I applaud the jarheads today for doing their job. That is what they're supposed to do. They did it in a military fashion, and I'm impressed. They don't disappoint.
I heard a story about the U.S. Marines that when we were in Fallujah, they were hitting all headshots accurately. They launched an investigation to see if they were executing people.
There's no more dangerous person on the face of the planet than a Marine and his rifle. Like they used to say, don't run because you'll just die tired. They're going to get you.
And the Democrats, they're going to be like, wow, they should have fired a warning shot. They should have shot them in the leg. But when you're in a war zone, because that's effectively a war zone, you can't shoot them in the leg. You can't fire a flare. You can't fire a flare gun in the air like it's the Titanic. No, you got to fight for your life because these people were armed. They had an armed truck, and they were clearly trying to attack. They were trying to take over the embassy, and they were trying to kill as many people as possible. So they did the right thing.
Well, in that clip, as it's panning to the right, there's a guy with a handgun firing down.
Yeah, exactly. There was a gentleman there. Well, not a gentleman, but there was a man there who was shooting people. And
that kind of tells me if you bring a gun, you're not interested in talking. You're not there because you want to sit down and debate things. You're there because you want to hurt people.
That's
Democrats-
exactly what I said about Alex Preddy when he had I heard he had a gun on him. Why would you bring a gun and a couple mags with you if you were previously agitating federal law enforcement? He had intention.
I am pro Second Amendment to the bone, but I'm also pro common sense. You don't go to a protest that could turn violent armed. And if you're armed at a protest that's turning violent, you don't fight with the police.
No.
If anything, you put your hands up and go, you know what? I have a weapon on my side. You want to take it off me? Or I'm armed. I have a permit. I am leaving. You don't antagonize.
Yeah.
Most of these things that happen could be prevented if these people took a second, put their ego to the side, and just said, hey, wait, is this a smart move? Should I be doing this? And half these people would still be at home.
Only issue is common sense isn't that
Yes,
common these days.
and it's not even that, it's ego.
I'm just gonna say they were definitely not planning on putting their hands in the air saying, I got a gun on me. That was definitely not the plan.
I'm going to go one step further and say I guarantee that was set up. That was not organic. I'm sure there was a plan behind that whole thing. I'm sure there were tactics involved.
Well, I'm going to say this, Seth. I would say things like that. These people are obviously are deranged, Trump derangement syndrome, whatever you want to say. And they're easily nudged when you push them. When they watch mainstream media and they talk about these things, when they have a governor and Tim Walz saying, go out there, get in their face, photograph them, and you have the mayor, Fry, saying the same type of stuff, pushing these people. All they need is that little nudge to do it. And they'll go out there with a gun like he did. And you saw the video beforehand. It was the week prior, he was kicking out the taillight. But, these people are not right in the head. But the left, they embrace insanity. They tell people men can be women and women can be men when it's a mental illness. They embrace that stuff. And then when you have somebody like Tim Walz, I'm going to put tampons in boys' bathrooms. It's like, this is craziness. But people look at this, and you get the deranged people out there to watch someone like Tim Walz say this, and you watch Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey say the same thing. Get out there and record where ICE is. We're not going to work with ICE. We won't let our local police departments work with ICE at all. And telling people to go out there and record where ICE is. But what is she trying to do? It's the same thing. And you're going to get a nut out there that thinks, I'm going to go save the state, save the world, whatever it may be, that has no purpose in life to begin with because they have nothing. And not to say I'm not going down on them, beating them down. It's just people that really don't have any. They have mental issues, they have problems, and they don't really have anything to look forward to in life because they have issues. They need help. But when you have a government official say something like that, they're like, I can be something. I can make a name out of myself. I'm going to go do this. And I guarantee you it's going to happen in New Jersey pretty soon because of Mikey Sherrill, because of Donald Norcross. I guarantee you.
Damon, what I like to say is that when we have ICE isn't new. ICE was founded, I believe, in 2003. And from 2003 to 2017, Democrats I believe they had control of the Senate and the House. They funded ICE. They supported ICE. Then until Donald Trump became president in 2017 to 2021, they hated ICE. They did not fund ICE. And then from 2021 to 2025, when Joe Biden was president, the Democrats overfunded ICE and supported ICE. But now, in 2026, the Democrats have a partial government shutdown for the Department of Homeland Security. It just goes to show how they are. And during Obama's presidency, I don't want to give anybody wrong numbers here, but this is what I recall. 57 people were shot and killed by ICE during his 8 years in office, and 3 American citizens are accidentally deported. Did we hear about that in the mainstream media? What if President Trump did that? It would be all over.
Of course. Someone just said that Tim Walz is my governor. It's ASS.
We're getting towards the end here, so I posted a question somebody just asked, and I think it's a question we've already answered.
Yeah,
I'm going to say they can do whatever they want to do. It's not for us to decide if they want another Shaw or Republic. It's not our decision. What we've done is remove the block for the people to make their own decision. That's what we've done. It's up to them now.
That's the mistake I think we made in Korea and Vietnam is we went in there and actually settled in and we tried to help them make their own government. And what happened there? We got involved in Vietnam, which is a 20-year war. So I believe we should we took out the Ayatollah and we took out most of Iran's military structure. I think we can let the people take control now and let them decide if they want to, like Engels said, a monarchy or a republic. So that's up to them, not to us.
Yeah, I agree with that. Frankly, I believe that the most stable decision for the people of Iran would be a constitutional monarchy with a democratically elected parliament, a prime minister, and a monarch in the Shah. But I'm not going to force any government on the people of Iran. If they want to have a full democratic system, they can go ahead and do that. If they want to have a full absolute monarchy, they can go ahead and do that. And if they want to have a constitutional monarchy like I proposed, they can go ahead and do that as well. We're not going to force them to do anything. We just want to get out of there. We already killed the Ayatollah. We already got what we needed to do. Now let's get out of there and let the people decide and fix their own country.
You get to follow that up, Damon. Good luck.
I'm just going to make it easy and say what they said. What they said. I was waiting for this moment because when I had to give a speech today at the convention, I had to go before Congressman Van Drew, and he's a very prominent congressman. And I like him; he's a friend of mine, and I had to go before him. I said, I really wish that because the chair said to keep it short, tight for the speeches. And I said, I really wish the Congressman Van Drew would go before me so I could have just came up and said everything he just said. Thank you. And then just walk away.
And they made you go first.
Now I get the chance to do it. Everything they just said. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Engels and Frank and you that it's not our place to decide what happens in Iran now. We need to get out. We've done what we're supposed to do, what we wanted to do. Time to leave it up to the people. And honestly, if they want to go back to having a supreme leader like they've had before, that's their decision.
If they do, and it doesn't work out well for them,
I don't think
they deserve it. So whatever, it's their decision to make. It is their decision. But if they make a mistake, then you own it.
I'm going to disagree with that statement that they should go. They can, if they want to, they can go back to having a supreme leader, which I don't think they will.
No, they won't.
They've already gone through that. But I think that if we just let them go back to that form of government, the intervention would have essentially been worthless. It would have been for nothing.
I agree.
So
I was just saying it's not for us to decide what they do.
Of course.
They have to live with whatever decisions they make. And at the end of the day, they can either blame themselves or pat themselves on the back. It's got nothing to do with us.
Well, I disagree with that. We went in, did what we had to do. That's fine. We've made a statement. We wiped out the threat as of now. You're always going to have a threat from other countries all the time. They're going to rise back up. You can cut the head off of the snake, and the other one's going to come back up. We took out the threat for now, but I don't want to get involved in running another country and telling them what to do. I don't think we should be involved at all. We should come back, America first. That's it. I mean, I agree with going over and saying then taking out the threat as is. And people are going to complain about it. So, we wasted the money to do that. We went over there and we spent $1 billion on missiles, to take this regime out. But you're going to have to. I mean, because it's going to happen. It's human nature. It's other countries always want what you have. They always hate, another one. You're going to have relationships with multiple countries, and the regimes will change, and you'll change the relationship. So it's a thing. It's human nature. So I'm good with going in there and taking out what we're going to take out. Take out the threat now. Let them see how they respond. Let them see what they grow in their own government. Maybe they'll flourish. Maybe they won't. If not, 10 years from now, maybe we got to go back and do the same thing. It's just the way the world works.
And what I'd like to say there is, say we wanted to stay there and help them make their own government, we'd have to have U.S. personnel on the ground, and there's going to be accidents. People are going to shoot at them. We'll have casualties. We're going to be spending so much more money. We just got to let the people do what they want.
There's
Oh,
another-
okay, Formosa. I think that's referencing Taiwan.
Yes.
Potential People's Republic of China invasion of Taiwan. I think that the United States has a unique guarantee towards defending the people of Taiwan against Chinese communist aggression. I'm actually in favor of, recognizing Taiwan as the official Chinese government instead of the communist government in Beijing. I think that they have a more legitimate claim to the title of being China. But yeah, of course, if there was an invasion of Taiwan, we would absolutely help the Taiwanese defend their homeland.
Frank?
Yeah. Taiwan is a very small country. When you look at it, it's small. And I think it was Xi Jinping said that he was going to invade it in 2027. And
Yeah.
I don't think he's not prepping for it. He's still making weapons, but I think that if, say, something happened, we would definitely back the people of Taiwan. But I think we'd be more worried about our allies' security, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. We'd be sending troops there and putting our ships around Taiwan. So I think we would be worried about Taiwan. We would try to get China to stop like we had with Russia and Ukraine. But I think we'd be more focused on our allies and, like I said, Japan, Australia, and our Southeast Asian allies.
And I'll just add that it's been a colossal failure of American foreign policy concerning China, because before we opened up China, which happened with Richard Nixon in 1972, I think most of it was because he was trying to win his own re-election campaign, which it did help him win re-election. But when Nixon reopened China, it allowed China to grow, and it snowballed into an economic giant, which is now at the opportunity to surpass the United States economically. We have to remember, before we opened up China was a desolate country. It had millions of people, billions of people. No, not billions, millions of people who were illiterate.
Yep.
It had massive starvation, massive unemployment, massive poverty, the Great Leap Forward, which killed millions of people. They had the Cultural Revolution, which also killed millions of people. They had the genocide in Tibet. China was a very weak nation compared to the Soviet Union and the United States. We opened up China. We allowed foreign investment into China, into Beijing, and now they are the second strongest economy in the entire world. And they are openly against the United States government. So that has been a colossal failure of American foreign policy. We've been giving money to a country that hates us, a communist country that despises America, and which wants to generate, I guess, a new world order, you can even call it, of Chinese domination over the world, over the globe. And you see it what's happening in Africa. They're sending a bunch of investments into these African countries which are underdeveloped. It's a new form of colonialism, essentially, a new form of colonization done by the Chinese over countries like the Congo, like Nigeria, and I'm not sure about Nigeria, like Uganda, like Botswana. So it really has to stop. We have to stop allowing China to grow more and more economically. And I'm not even sure what the policy concerning China can be right now, but I know that the current one that we have it's not working. So it has to stop.
Well, you get to follow that again, Damon. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say back. I'll start from the beginning real quick, and I'll 60 seconds. Back to the Israel thing. Israel, controlling, being influenced, and all that. Then we go to China. We talk about China. We talk about Russia. All this stuff. Every country wants what we have. You have the Chinese that are infiltrating the United States. They are. They're cyber warfare. They buying up farmland around here. They're even. I don't know if you were on the Pulse podcast that time when we were talking about it. There were multiple billionaires in China that are having surrogates in the United States. Yeah. The one has over 100 babies. One guy, one billionaire, 100 babies made in America that get shipped over to China and get raised there. And guess what? They're American-born citizens. So they're Americans. They can be president one day. So once they get raised over in China, they get shipped back here. and guess what? They're like Manchurian candidates. So every single country, it's not just about one, this one, that one, that one. It's all of them. They all have an agenda. Everyone does. My neighbor has an agenda. My neighbor is probably jealous of the flag that I have outside my house. Who knows? Might be jealous of the car that I have. And that's what it is. Everybody wants what you have. So that I just wanted to hit the nail on the head with that one. It's not about one individual country here, there, or there. You have to pick your battles and choose your friends. They may not be your friends for that long, but you take what you got when you can.
Well, looking at the history of China, they were invaded by Japan in the 30s. And you know who helped them? We did. The United States of America helped liberate China, sorry. And I believe they owe us big time for that. If you've seen what the Japanese did, they massacred the Chinese people. And the Chinese owe us big time. And you look at their military, they have huge parades, just like North Korea. All they're getting is hand-me-downs from Russia and copying us with cheap stuff. Mm-hmm. So if they keep getting stronger, I would consider them a threat. They have numbers, but they don't have the quality that America does. Because before and during World War II, America was a self-reliant nation. We could make our own food. We could grow our own food, make our own stuff. We didn't rely on imports like we do today. Because without that, bad stuff would happen. But that's why I think we need to bring business back to America. Mm-hmm. So in a scenario like this, we can sustain ourselves.
So I'm gonna comment. Sorry about this. I'm gonna comment on both. I'm gonna comment on both statements by Frank and then by Damon. So first, very quickly on Frank's statement, I agree. They do owe us big time, but it was under a different government. Obviously, Chiang Kai-shek was the leader of China. He was then sent over to Taiwan. He led over there as the government in exile of China in 1971. Taiwan officially no longer the harbinger of the name of China. That went over to the PRC in Beijing. So, yeah, they owe us big time, but it's more like Taiwan owes us big time. Not really the communists in China. They don't really owe us anything.
So the communists in China were fighting alongside.
Yeah, they had a united front.
Yeah, they did.
They had a united front, but it's like saying, that I don't really have an idea for that. Well, it's like saying something, I'm just gonna say that.
Like Britain owes us big time because we saved them.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that the communists in China, they're slick. They're using the free trade policy that the United States had for several decades to their advantage. That's why everything in the supermarket is made in China. So, frankly, we have to get self-reliant, like you said. Now, concerning Damon, I think that a lot of countries, they do try to influence American elections. So I'm not just gonna say what all the groypers on Twitter are saying, like, oh, it's all Israel, it's all the Jewish cabal, and they're just running everything. No, it's obviously a ton of countries that hate America, but the difference is that with Israel, we consider them an ally. With those other countries, we don't consider them allies. So I think that concerning the American foreign policy with Israel, we should treat them more like how we treat Saudi Arabia. They are a stabilizing force in the region. They sometimes align with our interests, but they're not fully an ally of the United States because they are trying to manipulate our politics to their advantage, which I think is unacceptable. They have their own country, they have their own politics, and we have ours, and we have to defend our sovereignty. I'm not saying that the Jews are behind everything that's wrong in the world, like a lot of people like to say, but I am going to say that Israel is closer to a Saudi Arabia than it is to a France, a Britain, a Germany, an Italy, or a Spain when it comes to foreign policy.
I'll just respond to that real quick. I want to say that everyone is always going to want to be with the winner. Okay, so everyone's going to want to try to influence as best they can to be with the cool person, be with the cool kid in school. So that's where you have there. So Yeah, their influence. Yeah, if they're working it out that way, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I blame anything with the United States that lets them control the United States. I don't believe they do at all. But if they want to help out and get people elected and they want to be partners of the United States, hey, China, get your shit together. Come over and donate to my campaign. And and you want to be involved. I'll make friends with you. I'm just joking, but I'm just saying it's everybody wants to be a part of the cool kids class and the power, and that's the way I see it. I really do. Now they overstep. Yeah, everyone's going to overstep. They're going to try to go a little bit further, just like every other country would do that. Just like your best friend might do that. Try to come over your house. I'll borrow your jacket. I'm going to borrow your sweatshirt and I'll give it back. So I'm just dumbing it down and making it simplified for everyone out there that thinks that the mastermind is Israel that's pulling the puppet strings of the United States of America. It is not happening. And I'm my buddy Josh. I hope you're watching because he's going there. I love him to death. He's awesome, but he thinks that everything is going. It doesn't matter if the sink clogs. It was Israel. I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm not anti-Semitic. I know. I know you're not. But but he watches all this shit on X and everything else. He's like, look at this video. I'm like, not everything's real. I said, I can make up an AI video in a second and send you something that looks like, Seth is beating up Frank.
I think Frank could take me. Frank could take me.
Well, I don't want to. Well, you have glasses. I don't want to break your glasses.
Well, what I'd like to say is,
All right.
every country I'll just say we're the greatest country in the world. We are the greatest, and other countries will look at us and say, oh, we want to be like America. We want to have many major cities that have many tall buildings, our worldwide landmarks. Countries want that. We have lots of tourism, landscape, and we have a strong military that no other country wants to go up against. The world hasn't seen a fighting force like the United States. And countries look at us, they want to be like us. Why? And that's why they want to influence our elections so they can get stuff from us, which they shouldn't be. If you want to be like America, we will help you as long as you give us something.
We're getting close to the end here, so what I want to do is go around the horn. Everybody gets a minute. Talk about what you want to talk about. If you have like a website or something like that you want to plug it. If you just want to talk about the potential for aliens visiting us from other planets, you can talk about that. So we'll start with Angles. You have the floor. You have the con for 60 seconds.
All right, thank you. I'm just going to quickly comment over what Damon said and what Frank said. Okay, so Damon, I'm going to say that concerning your analogy, I don't think that Israel bombing an American ship or influencing elections is the same as your friend stealing your coat. I'm just going to say that. I think that, there is an issue with Israel controlling American elections because, when Benjamin Netanyahu goes to Congress, you see everybody, Democrat and Republican, standing up and clapping. That's because they're being paid by AIPAC. So I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say that I'm anti-Semitic or anything like that, but I am going to say that Israel is, it's something that we should be aware of, and it can be an issue in the future. So that's my take on it, and thank you very much.
Hey, did you see that, Angles? Someone wants you to plug.
I'll plug Concord. Yeah.
Oh no, who is that?
I don't know what that is. I'm gonna be
maybe you don't want to plug it though because we don't know what.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Let's not plug whatever that is, just in case I don't get arrested.
Frank, you have the con.
Well, what I'd like to talk about, it's random, but I believe that I just wanted to say I've looked at the Russians, I've looked at the Chinese, I've looked at the North Koreans. People fear them for some reason, which I don't think we should, because you look at Russia's got big, bad, scary missiles, but most of them are Cold War relics. And when I hear people saying Trump's going to get us into a war with Russia, with China, with Iran. As I've heard many statements from these wacko liberals saying Trump's going to get us into a war with Iran. And it's not going to last long. 2 hours into it, we already took out their supreme leader. You got to be kidding me. Let's see we hardly did anything. That wasn't the full, as you said, that's not the full potential of the U.S. military. We could wipe their whole country off the map. With the press of a button, all Trump's got to do is press the red button and a whole country can be gone. So that's just what I wanted to say, and say that China, Russia, they're not really superpowers compared to the U.S. military, because you look at the Russians fighting the Ukrainians. What's this, year 4? No, almost little to no progress has been made, and that's all I wanted to talk about.
All right, so I'll end with this. Engels, yeah, do we have to be careful with Israel? Absolutely, we have to be careful with any country. Now, do they want? I'm telling you, everybody wants to steal your lunch. Everyone wants what you have. Does Israel, would they love to be the superpower? Absolutely.
Everybody does.
Yeah, the China, Russia, that you name it, Africa. It doesn't matter who it is. Everyone wants your shit, and just learn that lesson. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. People are going to want to take your stuff, and it's just human nature. So yes, be careful with it. But you have to stick with your allies at the time. So that's all I got to say about that. Do I think they intrude too much? Yeah, sometimes. So do other countries. A lot of them do. But I just think that they're the flavor of the, well, I'll say the year, not the month. But that's what it is. And people have to pay attention to it, because when things go trending, and see, now we're in a very trendy lifestyle with social media, and everyone has a voice. You have a voice now. You have a voice now on the podcast. I'm sure you guys post on social media all the time. I'm sure you read stuff all the time. You can read about something that happened in 1970s, whatever it was, and then talk about that. All right. Well, you weren't born yet. Neither was I. I was born in 81. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that we don't know, and we're never going to know about. I mean, so there's people say blaming Israel for killing Charlie Kirk. That's insane. So, but maybe they did, but I don't know that. I don't know who shot JFK. I don't think it was Lee Harvey Oswald. I probably don't think it was. But who knows? I don't. There's things that you don't know that you're never going to know, and that's the things that you have to accept, and you have to just navigate around that. But other than that, everyone knows where to find me on social media, because I blast it all over these podcasts. And but go to votedamongaldo.com and click on that donate button. I got these two guys that are helping me with my campaign, and many other campaigns. See, you guys are, I'll give it to you. You're a beast. You guys are out there helping Justin Murphy. Okay. I guess he didn't make it on tonight. I know we helped Jack Chigarelli, and they were helping other candidates, talking people running for county commissioner. But forget about them. Just worry about me.
Yeah.
But yeah, votedamongaldo.com, and you'll see what I'm about. So thank you, Seth. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Seth.
Hey, anytime you guys want to come back, just let me know. You can come back. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Like I said, up to and including aliens visiting from another planet, because apparently that's going to happen, and we need to be ready for that.
I want to do that
offer on the table. I don't know about
that.
think
they're gonna. I think if they meet a liberal, they're gonna say, "All right, guys, there's no intelligent life."
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, we're screwed if they meet a liberal first.
That was good.
But yeah, you're all welcome back anytime you want to come back. Open invitation. Just let me know. You can come back, talk about campaigns you're working on or whatever. We can just shoot the shit about anything. That's fine with me. Damon has his excuse me, man. Has his podcast. What days again?
About Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. And then obviously Wednesdays the Pulse at 8 p.m.
So you can catch him. Yeah, 3 days a week you can catch him. You can get me on Wednesdays on the Pulse. That's when we all get together and talk about everything. It's kind of a grab bag of BS and political stuff. We just kind of give our opinions on. So I want to thank everybody who was on the podcast. They thank you very much, Frank, Angles, Damon. It was great. Frank and Angles, I am beyond impressed with both of you. You're very intelligent, articulate, and you are very passionate about what you believe in, and that's lacking in this country at this point right now. So it's good to see that the next generation is picking up where my generation has dropped the ball. So thank you. I'm very appreciative of your time and what you had to say. I appreciate it.
Now,
Yeah,
Seth,
thank you. It's been a
I got
pleasure.
question
Yeah,
for you.
we really appreciate you coming on.
Hey,
So my question is, how do you think the midterm elections will play out? Do you think the
Oh,
Democrats will get majority, or do you think the Republicans will keep majority?
what I'd like to have happen is Republicans get majority. I would love for that to happen. What I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be a wash. I don't think we're going to gain enough to be in charge, but we won't lose enough to be subservient. I think it's going to be a flush. We're all going to go even. I think there's been too much infighting in the Republican Party, and that's going to hurt us big time. Whether you like Trump or don't like Trump, he does have America first. And if you're a Republican, you have to respect that. And you should support that. You don't have to support the man. You can support his ideas. And I think that's going to come back and bite us in the ass. And I think it's going to be an uphill battle, unfortunately. And then again,
30 seconds just to give my comments on the
Okay.
midterms. I think it's going to end up being a divided House.
Yeah.
Senate stays Republican. Democrats hold a majority, maybe 6 seats. I think Keene is going to keep a seat in New Jersey. I hope he does, but I think Tom Keene is a beast. I think he's a very strong electoral candidate, so I think he's going to keep a seat in the House of Representatives, as well as our entire New Jersey Republican delegation. Chris Smith, Jeff Van Drew, and Tom Keene, they're all going to keep their seats. I don't think Keene is going out anytime soon.
We have to keep District 11. We got to take District 11 for us, because we cannot have. We spoke about this on the Pulse on Friday. We spoke about how Engel said we there's enough socialists in Congress. We cannot have any more.
Yeah.
So
I think Analila Mejia, I think she might just be a little bit too controversial, a little too unelectable to win in NJ11. So I think that it's going to be a victory by Mr. Hathaway. What's his name? Joe Hathaway.
Yeah.
He's going to win it.
And I got to say one thing
Seth.
way off target here. You guys are wearing suits. I'm wearing a T-shirt. All right?
I was wearing, well, we were all at an event today, so I took my
I got
tie
a
off,
black
my
T-shirt on. And
Yeah, I wore a
I'm wearing
T-shirt
shorts.
when I had them on the first time, but I'm going to tell you right now, they're both fired because they didn't mention CD1 and Damon Galdo winning. So you're
Oh,
fired.
yeah. Damon Galdo is going to win. Yeah.
that's the man who will beat Norcross right there.
So I guess it's time to say thanks for everybody in the chat. I'm sorry we didn't get to all your questions. I apologize. It wasn't intentional. We just had a good conversation going on here. Not saying that your questions wouldn't have added to that. It's just that we had going on, took my attention. Before we wrap
Somebody asked me if the Republican candidate should be like Francisco Franco.
Oh, I just candidate should be like. Do you think the Republican presidential?
What am I going to say about Francisco Franco? Mr. Franco, you killed a lot of communists, so that's great.
But before we go, I want to let everybody know that we have men and women overseas right now that are in harm's way. Please keep them in your thoughts. They have no choice. Most of them would rather be here than there, but that's their duty, and they're doing it with honor and integrity. And whether you like the president, whether you think we should be in Iran or not, that doesn't matter. There are our countrymen standing that watch, and we need to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And for all you people who think, well, maybe there was a diplomatic answer to this, we could have done this or could have done that. All I have to say to you is sometimes violence is the answer.
The Ayatollah is a terrorist, and the United States of America will not negotiate with terrorists. And he's killed just by his hands, not him directly, but him giving weapons to terrorist groups have caused casualties among U.S. service members and Israeli service members. So I think killing the Ayatollah was just right, and I do not feel bad for him at all.
Sometimes violence is the answer. Some people don't want to hear that, but
all right, guys, we got to cut it. So thank you, Seth. Thank you for having us on your show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Network, the greatest.
You're welcome to come back whenever, like I said. And everybody, we will see you Wednesday night on the Pulse at 8. 8 p.m. on Wednesday night on APN. And we'll catch Frank and Angles probably again on some other podcast in the future, hopefully. Excuse me.
Alexander's going to want to have him on.
I know.
Yeah.
Everybody have a good evening. And remember, if you live your life by a set of principles and not a political party's ideology, you're going to live a pretty good life and leave something behind for your family to be proud of. Everybody have a good evening.
Yep.
All right, thank you.